And so she's like, "Is that like chili on top of macaroni? Is it like chili on top of mac and cheese?" I'm like, "I don't know. You need to ask them. I don't think that's something I'm going to make voluntarily."
Voluntarily.
Nope, but chili and cornbread, I am right there. And I will
Chili and
be.
cornbread's good stuff.
Heck yeah. Everything from scratch. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when it's done right, when it's made well, that's
Mm-hmm.
incredible.
It
But
is.
mac and cheese, no, thank you. That's just not my thing.
No. Oh my
No.
gosh. I learned how to make. My mom had I mean, she's got the best like baked mac and cheese recipe ever, and I've evolved it and all that. But yeah, baked mac and cheese, that is comfort food in my house. It's been the one thing that everybody will eat, hands down. There's always leftovers. It reheats well for lunches. Mm.
All the
But
things.
all the things. And I do like a breaded, crunchy, um, like French fried onions, breadcrumbs, and Parmesan and mozzarella topping on. So it's not just like cheese flavored. And I use yeah, it's good. Nobody signed on here for cooking tips, but here we are.
Can you
I
guys
don't
hear
know.
me?
There's probably some folks
Mm-hmm.
out there that
Okay.
like your
I wasn't
like your
sure. My
view.
light was a different color than green, so I wasn't actually sure it was working.
Maybe the
Color other than
LEDs are
green.
going
A-
weird, or
Anytime I go in the bathroom and it cuts off the wireless and it doesn't communicate well, the color will occasionally go off, and I have no idea if it's working or not.
okay.
Xander says he'll eat my portion of mac and cheese.
Well, sure, anybody will. Pervert.
I'm a pervert for not liking mac and cheese.
I
Yes.
I, I think there's always that the one or two things that people are like, oh my gosh, this is so great, and you're like, you can have mine of that. No, thank you.
Yeah, you can have it. No,
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm. Yeah.
My wife is a big fan of mac and cheese, and it's like, thank God she never tries to make it for me. No, thank you. You can keep that.
That's okay.
You can keep all of it. Yeah, as Xander said, you can keep all of it. Cornbread? How can you not like cornbread?
I don't like cornbread.
My
You're a
father-in-law doesn't
pervert.
like cornbread.
No, it's because my parents made it in a way that I did not care for,
Ah,
and it
that
turned me
would do
off
it.
on it. It was very gritty. It was always very gritty, and I just cannot stand it.
Ah,
And
okay.
so it's poisoned me for cornbread forever.
That's
I get
unfortunate.
that. I
That's
get that.
very unfortunate. People want to go back to sleep. What is wrong with you, chat? The Cooking Right School podcast. The Cooking Right. Yeah, I think it's the cooking wrong. Howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. I'm Paul E. Cooley. As always, my compatriots Veronica Jaguar and Terry Mixon are on the podcast with me. Being well, in Terry's case, is being all super sexy.
Rocking that gray hoodie lifestyle.
How do you afford your podcaster lifestyle? Not very well, I can tell you that much.
I live in
Your
poverty
word,
so that
thank
I
you.
can support myself on the podcast in the way that I want to.
There you go. V, what the hell has been going on with you? What have you been up to?
Trying to catch up on everything. Chasing people for scripts, so I'm not totally behind on recording. Um, Lots of audiobook narrator stuff. So for the narrator organization that I volunteer for, I did write this week. I wrote on all three
Yay!
projects this week, so yay. Um, so yeah, collaborative project is coming along well. I think I should check the word count. I should check the word count. That's all I can say. I think we're on chapter no, chapter 10 is the other one. Chapter 10's on the weird deities stuck in 1990s Toronto one. I know.
Okay.
People are like, what is this? I'm like, just you have to roll with it. Chapter no, I think chapter 7. So it's probably about um 7. So it's over 40K right now.
Oh,
I
cool.
think that one. and that's the one that's due in July. So no problem with that. Still writing on my own, handwriting things and chuckling and going and having to look up the most bizarre, references to make sure that I'm writing things properly. Like knowing when high school bowling seasons are in other parts of the country, because I found that Florida, just like in so many other ways, is weird. Um, our high school bowling season runs from August until the beginning of November, whereas in most places it starts in October, November, and goes until January. It's considered a winter sport. Um,
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense.
yeah, so it is important because of where I'm setting the story and how like school years work out, but minor things I keep trying to I'm gonna screw myself over in the editing pass because I keep writing Midwest town for backstory, and I'm gonna have to like pick one at some point and just roll with it. I'll probably just say Springfield and leave it at that because there are a
Sioux
million.
City, Iowa.
Could I could Des Moines,
Des Moines.
Peoria,
Peoria. There you go.
Aurora.
Good stuff.
Yeah. It's Wayne's World. Anyway, so that's been my thing. I'm working on setting up my Patreon because I'm gonna have to bite the bullet at some point.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
I know we will. That was my little like teaser segue. So Terry, Sir Fluffy, how are you?
I'm good. Finally have a new car
Woo!
with all the bells and whistles. It's really weird stepping up from a minimalist truck that's 26 years old, that's a standard that has absolutely no bells and whistles on it, to something that has everything. I'm still finding new functions and new features.
Oh, you're going to be finding those for like weeks. There's going to be shit.
are.
You're like, what does this
Years.
button do?
Do you have
Alert! Detonation in progress.
Forward defense is engaged.
Photon torpedoes armed.
Terry wishes he had a 50 cal mounted on the top of this thing.
On the top, no, those suckers just need to fold out from under the wheel rims and.
Screw that, man. Who needs headlights? Just put the 50 cal barrels through there. You're all good.
It makes a noise when you back up. It sounds like a choir of angels is singing.
Yeah, it was creepy. It was creepy. I was like,
Okay, mine just beeps.
Mine doesn't beep. It's backing up. Okay. I'm like, at the first time I backed up, am I really hearing this? What is this noise?
They did a study about that, about the fact that beeping is the worst sound you could possibly use for an alert, because there are so many things that beep. If you want to be heard, you have to make a sound like you're talking about.
It certainly makes you look around and going, what am I hearing? What is that?
Exactly. So basically switching to some kind of sound like that. Just imagine if your garbage truck was backing up and it made that sound instead of a beep beep. People would pay the fuck attention. So
True.
it's interesting.
It's got a feature that Paul was going like, what the fuck am I seeing? What the fuck am I seeing? Tell them about it, Paul. You know what I'm talking about.
Which feature in general are we talking about?
Where it did things without me having to do things.
Oh, Jackass is like, okay, well, if you're parked in a spot and you can do something, it starts messing with the keychain. How does it do it again, Donna? She's pulling out the guide looking at it.
Exactly.
So he closes the door. He hits the proper, sequence on the keys after studying, for a PhD. And then the car woke up and started backing out all by itself in a straight line. And then
It
Terry
could go
hit another
forward
button.
and backwards, all on its little self.
He hit another button and Donna went flying because of the G-forces, but the car came to a stop. It's pretty neat feature though.
Pretty sure there's an ejection seat I could get rid of her in there with it.
Well, you got the full moon roof, man. You got plenty of space to do that James Bond bullshit. You
totally
probably got
true.
enough room to eject a back seat if you're,
I'm
if you really
sorry.
care to.
That anything that's going to happen with Terry and his car is going to be less James Bond and more Inspector Gadget.
That's probably accurate.
I think that's
Go
the most
Gadget.
accurate statement I've heard this morning.
So, what was your question that got sidetracked?
Which question?
She was asking a question and got sidetracked. So, I'm curious what she was going to ask.
I don't know.
I just asked how your car was. And,
Yeah, but during the middle of all that, you were...
right. Do you have? Can you set multiple for the driver's seat? Can you set multiple steering?
Two
wheel
different
positions?
driver
And then-
profiles.
yes, that is my favorite part because I hate it when the seat gets shifted. And since I've been through teaching teenagers how to drive, and they always have used my car, and they're all bigger than I am with longer legs. I'm like, can you just? So all I have to do is hit the button and and I'm not like low riding in the car. So.
It's off at the tinting people getting fully tinted now, so I'll pick it up after the show.
He's going to have it all gangstered out.
I'm going to have it all ceramic coated so that the heat stays out.
That'd be nice.
That is key.
Other than that, things are good. Writing-wise, I did something that I've never done before. I decided that I wasn't satisfied with where the story started, and I completely deep-sixed the first 2 chapters.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. My little boy's all grown up.
See, I was going to say, you wrote a prologue?
No. Things have not gotten so bad.
But so do you think there's anything in those? Why am I so blurry? Is there anything in those first 2 chapters that you're going to be able to reuse, or are you just?
No, I won't be able to reuse any of it. It was too much setup. I needed to be in the middle of what I was doing rather than setting up to be in the middle of what I was doing. This is the first book in a new series. I need to go ahead and be in the action right away.
I can see that.
Okay.
I can see that.
And I'm
What's your
having
rating?
one of the characters do something totally ugly and horrible to somebody that deserves it. And that makes me feel good.
Terry's a man of small pleasures. Watching somebody he doesn't like get, bullet holes blown into them. He's all right.
Well, let's see.
Terry Schadenfreude Mixon.
The secondary character, the companion of the main character, is getting even with her uncle for doing something that resulted in the death of her family. But she can't kill him. Those are the rules. She can't kill him. That's one of the other things that I had to fix because I was like, that's a little too dark. A little too dark for the main character. Had to change that. So what's she doing instead? They've broken into his private apartment, and she is busy tattooing his crimes on his face in fluorescent ink.
Ooh.
Fluorescent ink that has DNA profile stuff so that even if you scrub it out, the skin cells will start it back up again. The only way he could get rid of it, he would have to skin his face off of his head. And I said, that's pretty rude. I think I'll go with that.
That's good. I mean,
there are times when you even eclipse me in creepiness.
That is pretty creepy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fucking bad news.
not to the death, but to the pain. I like it.
Oh, to the pain. Oh, God. Can you imagine having to rip your entire face off?
I'm betting that the guy would not do it. It's the reason it's fluorescent is because if you try to cover it up with makeup, it'll still somewhat glow through. So I've even thought that angle through.
I mean, I did narrate a character whose one of his metahuman superpowers was that he literally could shed his skin and regrow new skin. And so I did have to narrate, tore my face off. My face off. Secret World Chronicle. So I think in that case, it would depend on how deep the tattooing went. But I still wholeheartedly approve. This is awesome.
She
pretty
is
evil.
actually very skilled at this, and she's going to make sure that the tattoos are exquisite. Not rude, not chaotic, not clumsy. The very best she can manage.
Makes it
As
even more
long as
evil.
she's not writing the words in papyrus, we're good.
Well, it is Japanese, so it is in kanji. So there you are.
We're fine.
Oh, man. Well, let's see. What have I been up to? Apart from fighting with furniture. I still
Fighting
have
and
water.
losing with furniture.
Yeah, fighting and losing with furniture. We're putting together Love Sectional. It's nightmare. It'll look great when it's all done, but it's a fucking nightmare. So, in between that, I finished editing Sakulina. I need to go through another pass before I throw it over the wall, which I'll probably get to tomorrow. And then I've been editing the crap out of Oceania, doing one final pass before I put it in the hopper for Scott. So maybe, depends, maybe March, April we'll have Oceania out, I hope.
Okay.
And I started recording the audiobook, God help us all. So that's going to take a long time. It's a pretty big book, so it's going to take a while to get that done. And I still am looking at the mountain of other shit that I've got to do, like finish Extinction and write 2 more books on this contract. I still don't have any ideas.
You say that after every single book.
You do.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Is this you don't have monster ideas, or you don't?
I don't have creature feature ideas. I have a shit ton of other stuff that I've got halfway done or 3/4 done or whatever, but none of that will satisfy this contract. We got to do something.
So have you heard anything back from them on the last one? Did anyone go, ew, ew?
Are you kidding? When I got the call from the editor, it was like, look at the body count in this thing. I'm like, yeah, there's not that many characters. It's a high body count, isn't it? Chris, I would say the answer to that is no. No tattoo can be
No.
worse than having to cut off your scrot.
that.
Yes.
Nope.
But having something cut off, that's crude. She doesn't want to be crude. She wants to be elegant in how she fucks him over.
Elegant fuckery. I approve.
Elegant fuckery.
Elegant fuckery.
So that's where I have been doing, or what I've been up to, other than dealing with family shenanigans, because we're going to have family shenanigans, and they're not great shenanigans right now, but things are getting better on that front, so I can't complain too much. But it's been a weird week. It's been a really weird week. I'm hoping we get back to some island of stability real soon, but it will not be next week. Next week is going to be hell for me, because I've got to do a lot of stuff for the old people. But it is what it is. But
But
I have a question.
oh dear.
How many different social media services are you on, V?
All of them?
Not all. Excuse me. Not all of them. I don't have the bandwidth for certain ones. So I've got, let's see. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Threads. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Mastodon. I've reserved. I'm pretty sure I reserved Voices by Veronica or Veronica JR over at YouTube.
Good.
I know I have a Counter Social account. I haven't used it. LinkedIn, but I lurk over there. It's not really relevant for what I do. And I think that's it. I deactivated my Twitter account a while ago. And while I have or had a TikTok account, I found out early on that I don't have the bandwidth to create and post over there. And in terms of following stuff, a lot of the creators that I like to follow cross post to either YouTube or Instagram. So I'm going to see them
Right.
anyway.
Okay.
I think I think that's all I have, and that's kind of normal for me because at the start of like I think before social media, when you had various like chat servers and instant messaging apps and community apps, I know I was on AIM, I was on MSN Messenger, I was on uh, ICQ, I was on IRC chats.
Yes.
Those four.
I was
But
a coder. We run all of them.
yeah, um and I mean I think I'm not sure if I would call it social media. I'm not sure if I would call Discord social media. I personally I'm lumping Discord into stuff like Patreon, wow, and newsletters because it's more directed. It's 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 something that's a little more curated than traditional social media. But yeah, that's where I am, and a lot of that is I need to be where clients are. I need to be where authors are.
Terry?
I have some stuff on Facebook. I have stuff on Discord, just the DRS stuff. And I have a YouTube account that I don't actually use for anything.
What a slacker.
I've been basically ignoring Facebook for quite a while now. So my social media activity is pretty darn low.
Mine has become very low too. I'm on Mastodon, Facebook, Blue Sky, and the YouTube and Discord. But mainly I use Discord for DRS and messaging some of my creatives directly, creative friends who are on there as well. Blue Sky I don't post much, and I really don't see too much in the feeds. Facebook I try and ignore as much as possible, and I'll be leaving it again relatively soon, I imagine. Especially since they fucked us to where we can't stream to our group anyway. There's no point for me to be there. So fuck Meta, fuck Zuckerberg.
You think we should close the Facebook group down? It's not like it's got a lot of things going on there.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a question for the community, but I think most people have moved over
I'm not
to
even
Discord.
looking at it anymore, so I have no idea what's happening there.
It's pretty dead.
It's one of those things where, depending upon what you do and where you have to like keep your finger on the pulse of, it's difficult to not incorporate it into your daily or weekly, into your like business plan if you have to involve networking. And in some cases, you're also limited by the tech savviness of your community.
Yes.
Because some people will not leave because of just the ease of finding others, and that's the only way they can connect. Because if you do decide to leave one social media place that folks have gotten used to, they have to relearn stuff, and not everyone's comfortable relearning a whole new system. I know
most
there's
of the
some
people I follow have already left.
Yeah,
Or already on Blue Sky.
and I know that there's some communities that I'm a part of for narration that have gone to private communities and networks. I think it's Kajabi. You can do your own communities over there. Mighty Networks. You can do your own communities over there, and it's a solution for people who want to maintain their own community and not have the
noise, algorithm, ads, etc.
yes all of the stuff that Facebook often brings, which is all well and good for when you are within your own sphere. But if you're trying to reach others, so if you're an author and you do a lot of advertising or networking with other authors and readers, where are they? If a lot of them are on that social media network, how do you stay where people are without losing your mind?
Oh, I'm also on Patreon. I should remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, we're also on Patreon.
Sadly, I can't post anything that I'm writing at the current time because it's not solely mine.
Right.
Yep.
That would be an issue.
Yeah.
Technically, I don't have that issue, but that's still. I don't like sharing the text. Period.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you have 10 or 12 seems like different channels of
So I
social
think
media
7.
these days.
I think 6 or 7 that. Hang on.
Probably 6 or 7 popular ones, but I think there's like 12 or 14 out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think personally I use 5 of them somewhat regularly. I'm trying to make sure I post regularly on Mastodon, but the fun thing is I post different things to different social networks because of the audiences that are there. I am the voice that happens on one social media network is not necessarily the same voice that happens on others. Some are going to be a lot less filtered. I am a judgmental bitch. I will own that. But I try to keep that in check on certain spots, and other places I don't see a need to.
Yeah,
And
I understand.
if you find me one place and it's like, wow, you're
Extra spicy.
I'm
you're
different on
salty over there.
Mastodon than I am on any other platform. I will
Same.
say shit on Mastodon I will not put on any other platform.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons for that. But I guess my point was you have like 10 or 14, 20, God only knows how many. You put LinkedIn in there and all this other bullshit, Microsoft Teams. I don't know how any of that crap works, but you start putting all this stuff together. You can spend all your goddamn time just managing your social media. And you're not writing or recording or creating or anything else. You're just basically shoving stuff in for garbage in, garbage out for some algorithm. Quit it.
Yeah. And so with PANA, so the Professional Audiobook Narrators Association, we had our first class of our continuing education stuff that I run. And the first one we brought in was someone who did a class on social media for narrators. Kelsey Navarro Foster, awesome narrator. She mostly does romance, so you may not have listened to her stuff. Very, very much girl next door tone. But she pointed out things about curating your social media and having boundaries about what you post. And about how you don't have to be everywhere, but if you do choose to be someplace to support your creative brand, treat it like a job. And that doesn't mean spend 40 hours on it and, become a slave to it, but rather set aside time for it. When that time's up, don't do it anymore. And that's hard to do. Isn't that right, Julius?
Julius is currently drowning Terry in fluff.
He's trying to find a way to get comfortable here.
Yeah, that too.
Dad, your forearms and elbow are not comfy.
How's that way?
No, it's not. I do the shoulder.
I honestly think the social media bang for the buck is pretty low at this point because there's just too much goddamn noise. It seems like if you're on Mastodon, people follow you, they're more likely to interact. On Blue Sky, so far, the fuckers just DM me offering their services.
Yeah, and I get that. I get that with Facebook and Instagram, and more often than not, especially with Instagram, it's bots.
Yeah, it's bots.
I
It's all
post
bots.
a picture of crochet, and someone's like, "Hey, is this on sale?" Block. No, I don't need another project like that. And besides, all the shit that I crochet, you can find online for free through somebody else's bit. It's not rocket science. It's just knots. Lots and lots of knots. That's all it is. Yeah.
So, Terry, what's your thinking on this whole mess?
I think social media is overrated. I just want to go back to MySpace.
You weren't ever on MySpace.
this is untrue. I did indeed have an account on MySpace.
Did you ever post anything on MySpace?
I did. Not very much, but I did.
I'm amazed. I'm amazed you had a MySpace account.
Okay, that reminds me. I did have a
I even had an AOL account in my day.
So did I. So did everybody who wanted internet.
I did not. I never had an AOL account. But I think that's more because when I came into things, I was in college. And so I did everything through my .edu address.
Yep.
And then when I left college, it was Yahoo. So I had a Yahoo email and I did everything through that. Including some of my very, very first voice work and a ton of fan fiction that will never see the light of day. But I had a live journal, and that was unique. Hopefully the Wayback Machine will let that not come to pass. But that was something for building community and, having it kind of that more long form posting that some folks do on Facebook and that people did on MySpace and other things. But I think the trend now is going to shorter clips. And it's
Right.
kind of like that, mile wide, inch deep sort of thing.
Everything now seems to be the TikTok model is your form of engagement. You've got basically like 15, 20 seconds to do something interesting or say something interesting, and then it's done. People's
Right.
attention is just nowhere now. So you got to figure out exactly what the bang for the buck is that you're getting. If I were serious about getting another publisher or an agent or anything else, I'd be interacting more often on Blue Sky or Facebook or Instagram, whatever, with more agents, with more publishers. I'd be trying to figure out what they're doing, what's going on. And that would be a smart way to at least get some rapport and figure out maybe who it is you want to tackle, who it is you want to approach next, or who you can make friends with and maybe get you an in somewhere. Mm-hmm. But that's not me.
Yeah.
That's not me.
It's
you have
difficult.
to make that choice about what it is you're actually there for. You're there just to enjoy dog and cat pictures, post dog and cat pictures, or are you there to actually be there for business? And by the way, most of us you're just there for business, we don't want to talk to you.
If you're there for business, a lot of times when you are creative, it is being there but being authentic.
Yeah.
And establishing those personal relationships. And I mean, one of the reasons why I'm doing more over on Threads is because that's where authors in the genres I like to narrate are. Mm-hmm. And they're active there. They post about their books. There are a lot of people asking me about narrators over there. And so it's chiming in, saying things and, being helpful and informative. And I have established loose ties with a handful of people because I was talking about hockey romance and hockey games, and it just spirals there. There's one romance author over there. She writes hockey romance, but she knows her hockey. And what she does almost every day is she posts facts about hockey, where if you follow the game, you know it. But if you're not familiar with it, it's like, oh, that's why there aren't any games this time of year. Or, oh, so the whole all the dads on the team going to a game and having a trip, that's an actual thing. It's not just a plot point somebody made up for a book. So it's like any tool, damn it, Julius. It's helpful for what you get out of it, but you have to decide how you're going to use it, how much time you're going to spend, and at what point you decide, no, this isn't worth it. I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And then for stuff where you've got where you're cultivating a community and not necessarily having, I'm trying to think, rather than taking up a room in somebody else's building with a community, like say Facebook would, you're going and creating your own little hut someplace off, and folks are flocking to it. And that would be Discord, Patreon, your new newsletter, etc. And that's hard.
It is. Newsletters. Terry used to roll about his email list and his newsletter list. I've never been able to get traction with mine. Period. End of story.
Well,
It's like we
ever
write
since
two
I
different
started
groups.
writing elsewhere, my list has not gotten any larger.
No, I'm sure it hasn't.
Huh. Really?
Yeah. Weird, right?
Is this going to lead back to Fluffy or Fluffers or whatever you call them?
Okay, that's two totally different things.
Very different things, James. Very different.
Extremely different things. Yeah,
There's your Fluffy.
That's Fluffy.
it's so fluffy.
You can go get a fluffer on a porn set. That's a completely different thing. Don't
Yeah.
ask me how I know this.
And then there's the loofah.
Look, loofahs get a bad rap, okay? Loofahs get a bad rap. That's all I'm going to say on that subject. So I think the three of us are saying basically that social media is a humongous time sink, but you can actually get a few things out of it depending on how you put, what you put into it. But you shouldn't spend a whole lot of time on it because it gets in the way of you doing your job. That part is not your job. Your job is to write and create. And then, of course, you try and get everybody interested in what the fuck it is that you did. And then that's what the social media stuff is for. But if that's all you do is post stuff about, what you're doing or buy my books, people are going to tune out. Period. End of story. So there's this balance you have to strike to make it work. I think a lot of us are still searching for what that balance is.
I don't know what it is.
I'm not really sure I want to be well balanced. It would go against my very nature. But I also want to talk about this. If I can find it again. There it
If you
is.
can find it again.
James put in topics, how to get let go of something that you put a lot of effort into. And then he posted a meme that says, refusing to delete a crap paragraph because it took so long to research.
I am a lousy example of this. Because I think, so you can talk about writing a story. You can talk about maybe it's two paragraphs, it's 2 pages, it's 2 chapters. And then it could be 2 books into a series. How do you decide that maybe I need to wrap this up and not keep going? It's hard to justify walking away from something when you have spent so much time and energy, because you have to admit that you screwed up someplace. Or you have to admit that how it's winding up isn't what you thought it would be when you started. It took me 2.5 years to leave a job when I realized it was not serving my better purpose. And the only thing that made me go, I should probably walk away, was literally having a emotional breakdown. I stuck with a PhD for 2 years, or stuck pursuing it, because I thought that, once I finish this, things are going to be great.
The
Still
lies we
ABD.
tell ourselves.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. So if I think the core is trust your gut. If it doesn't seem like it's working, set it aside. Just like you set it aside. That's like one of the best things you can do. Set it aside. Go take a walk. Go have a cup of coffee. Give it a day. Give it a week. And come back to it and go, okay, clear mind. Is it better for my time, my investment, to keep going down this track? Or am I going to be better off tomorrow? Am I going to be better off in 5 days if I go down, if I set that aside completely and do something else?
Well, Well, this goes back to recycling a little bit, which we had an episode about that not too long ago. But if, in the sense that James posted this, refusing to delete a crap paragraph because it took so long to research, rewrite the fucking thing. And if it doesn't belong there, maybe it belongs somewhere else in the book, or maybe it belongs in another book. Maybe it's
Or
part of another
maybe
story you haven't written yet.
maybe it's just backstory. Maybe it's
Or
just
that too.
discovery for you.
There are certain things that and Terry talked about this during a pre-show and even on this show about whacking the first 2 chapters and basically going back and trying again, so to speak, because he realized he started in the wrong place. That is something you got to do. What do you do with those 2 orphan chapters? Well, you can basically take them aside, throw them in the dead letter file, and come back to them if it makes sense. Or you just snip them because they're only pertinent to that story and don't really need to be anywhere else. Thank you, Shadow, for shaking. Anyway, I do understand the research problem, though. You researched the hell out of something. You came up with all these ideas to use it, and then you're there, and suddenly it doesn't need to be there. And you're like, what the hell? Or something in the plot changed, and now this point that you were trying to make is no longer applicable or makes any sense where it is. And most of the research that I do does not end up in a book. Period, end of story. It just doesn't. There's a lot of stuff that I use the research for to figure out what I want to include in the book. And there's a lot of research stuff where I just look at it and go, I wonder how that works. Oh yeah, I don't need to know that. But at least I know how it works. I'm never going to tell the reader that. Not unless it's something important. Otherwise, it was just for me. Me only. Xander says, no backstories, no characterization. Only plot bot, only calculated bland progress. Plot bot. Is a plot bot a thing?
Probably. With the proliferation of AI, a plot bot is probably a thing. I would not like to see it.
Xander, you're going to have to explain what a plot bot is. If there is such a thing, or if you just made that up. Because now I'm curious. It does sound like an AI thing, quote unquote. And I love bullshit, is what it is.
You bring up a good point. There's certain things that you may write that you realize that you had to write so that you could discover it and know it to inform the story, but you don't necessarily need to inform the reader at that point.
Yeah, the reader doesn't necessarily need to know the 50 fucking future histories of Bannerman. Thank you, George R.R. Martin. I don't need 50 pages of that shit. What the fuck were you thinking? It's more like 20 pages,
by the
but
word.
still.
You are not Dickens.
He says, so think of a boring robot that's just a calculator, and that is the character. Oh, okay, plot bot. A bot for the plot. Got it. I'd rather have that over Tolkien describing a tree for 3 pages. See, there we go. What was the point? Why did Marcel Proust write 75 pages about a goddamn bush? Nobody will ever know except him. Pretentious fuck. Anyway, I hated that book so much. My God. Let's see. Xander says, like an NPC that has repeating dialogue until you accept the quest. You know, I like that idea. This definitely sounds something out of a video game. Definitely. Repeating dialogue. That's annoying. I don't know that would work very well in a novel. I think that it doesn't work well in the game either. But be that as it may. There's always an opportunity to lose something. There's always an opportunity to use something that you created in the past that didn't quite work for this book or that book. Or if you just write a fragment. I have a whole list of fragments that have plot ideas attached to them just by virtue of them being a fragment of a story that isn't told. There's either something the character did or there's some scenario I laid out in 200 or 300 words that never went anywhere. Well, one day those might come back and say, hey, there's a book here. And I just kind of, every once in a while, will go back through that file if I'm stuck for something and see if there's anything in there that I forgot about that I really need to focus on. And every once in a while, one will jump up and bite me and I'll write a book about it. So there's nothing lost and everything to be gained by kind of putting some of those things aside or making a dead letter file. I know Terry used to have one, probably still does have one,
Yeah.
and chunk it in there, and then come back to it if you're stuck on something. Do the Bradbury way, you know. I'm stuck on this story. I'll just go grab another one out of the quote unquote filing cabinet and start on it. That's half
Yep.
finished. So there's a lot of different ways to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've covered that. What is this fluffy thing?
Terry said it.
I'm going to go back into our
Go back.
private chat group.
I'm pretty
And you're
sure
right.
it's Terry.
Terry
It was
said
me.
fluffy.
It was me that said that, because
Yeah.
I thought that what Veronica said was she was talking about putting some fluff into her Patreon account. I don't know what made me think that I read that there, but that's what I thought I read.
I said
did not say
stuff,
fluff.
not fluff.
My brain said fluff, and so that's
You-
where
you
it
were-
came from.
You were looking at cats when you typed that.
No doubt.
Listexia. It's a real thing. I was trying to figure out what a fluffy Patreon was. I was trying to come up after you said that. I was trying to figure that out, and it seems like V doesn't have enough cats to have a fluffy Patreon. That seems like something you would have to do, Terry.
Yeah. I only have one floofy cat. You have more than one floofy cat.
So what I should do is I should get those little GoPros that you hang on your cat's collar, put it on every single one, and then go through it day after day looking for the gold to post to my Patreon, my cat video Patreon page.
Nope.
Well,
nope.
no, there's at least 12 AI companies that will promise to do that for you for a fee.
I'm confident that they would.
Our
I'm just
spam,
saying.
my spam folder is fucking full of them.
Just Twitch, yet another social media thing. But Twitch stream, pick a cat, pick a room, pick a cat or pick a room, and just set up a little camera and set it to go live overnight. And all of the folks who are awake while you are sleeping will watch your cats get up to shenanigans. And it's just, asynchronous income just coming in because you have cats that people want to watch.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is, and yet
It is.
you'll make money.
But it's a thing.
You'll make money. It is a thing. It absolutely is a thing. Alternate revenue income.
I make more money off my cats than my writing.
So what happened? I got more cats.
Wait, maybe don't give Terry any ideas.
Yeah, you don't get Terry any more ideas. This is a bad idea. So since you're not going to have a fluffy Patreon, what kind of Patreon are you going to have, V?
Oh, Lord. Okay. So I think I have the tiers figured out. I do have, I think, 5 or 6. Okay, Antoine, I do not need anybody watching me while I sleep because one, I know that I breathe heavy and or snore and nobody needs to hear that. And 2, if I talk in my sleep, I don't remember what I say. I don't need that shit documented. So, yeah. And 3, cats will run on me while I sleep, and I don't want that either. Because if I wanted to hit a cat cam, that'll be something different. But, so I think I figured out the tiers. And I think I figured out options for public domain pieces. So what I did was I went to Project Gutenberg and I started looking at titles that I was familiar with that could fit my brand and that I knew would fit my voice, which is a challenge because a lot of public domain stuff may not necessarily be written for a more femme voice.
Yeah, it may not be out. It may not make sense. Yeah.
Right. But some of the things that I realized, so I do not have, the literary background that Paul does. I don't have the sci-fi background that Terry does when it comes to reading. But one thing I didn't realize was that a lot of your older stuff, there is not a lot of dialogue in it. The style of writing for especially your romantic period, was very narrative. And it was very storyteller-like, which does fit my voice.
Right.
So Um, I had, what did I pull up? I know I found like a 1950s sci-fi not a short story, more of a novella. Um, there was Lady Chatterley's Lover. That's definitely on the list. Um, there's Edgar Allan Poe, a lot of his short
Mm.
stories, because that fits the tone, fits what I can deliver reliably. Um, I found, I think, one of F. Scott Fitzgerald's stories is on there. Uh, let's see. I've got to look that up. Um,
I'm looking for Lady Chatterley's Lover. That's what I'm waiting for.
see, and that's part of me is like, I want to like take a vote on that. Um, the Three Musketeers, but that would be a
Okay.
really long one to do.
Yes, it would.
But again, storytelling, and I know all the French. At one, I think at one point I actually was it. I think it was the no, I think it was the Three Musketeers. Um, I had a copy of it in French, and I had a goal like to read it in French, just not narrate. This was just reading over the summer because I was a weird kid, and now I'm a weird adult. Is it? Oh, silly me! I went. This is the problem with doing this. Like, where did I save this? I went and actually saved the text files. So I went to Project Gutenberg, and I wound up grabbing the text files for the stuff that I wanted to look at. Did I put them any place logical? No.
Well, bottom line is you got a bunch of books from public domain, and now what? You're trying to decide which ones to do?
I'm trying to decide which ones to do. I'm trying to decide, I mean, do I put it out there for people to vote on? Do I just pick one and run with it? And the other thing is, do I diversify and have one, do I have some stories for me, and then do I have other stories at a higher tier under my pseudo? Because, and I had this discussion with a couple of narrators, because we were talking about Discords and Patreons and folks who narrate live, and the challenge of putting oneself out there in the romance and erotica space and still maintaining some degree of separation. Because one of the problems that a lot of folks in that space get into is, once you have subscribers and patrons and dedicated listeners, there's a level of entitlement, and wanting to be close to that space.
Mm-hmm.
And don't I don't want to tempt that too much, because I will run screaming into the void. And that's just, yeah.
Now that would be interesting to put up a poll. What do you want to hear me read?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm not above, I mean, I don't have a problem saying here are the next, 4 possibilities for the next quarter. If I'm serializing things, what would you like to hear? And then at a certain tier, you get a vote. That's not a problem. And then higher tiers to have access to the pseudo branded stuff. But I was thinking about, what's the added bonus of higher tiers, and I realized giving people the full mastered audiobook for at that tier. So if I'm going to go and serialize everything, then once it's done, hey, here's the full file. And then also putting out stuff that I do. I have a handful of short stories that I've written, that I can narrate again. That, I mean, one of them I lost to some guy named Paul Cooley for the Parsecs, but
You still bitter about that?
no, I'm just putting it out. If you liked his stuff, maybe you like someone who came in second place.
Ouch.
Ow.
I'm the 12-time runner-up. I beat Nathan Lowell. on
The
runner-up
Susan
thing.
Lucci of the Parsec Awards.
I am the Susan Lucci of the Parsec Awards. Give me my feather boa, damn it. So yeah, I was looking at. I have stuff handwritten. Still working on it. But yeah, now once we get to the after show, I will have found that folder with the options there. No, Xander, it isn't bitter. It's violent admiration. I'm just acting. But
Now, I want it known, I was a finalist multiple times before I won any Parsecs.
yes, and I've been a finalist twice in the same category and still lost. Because I had Secret World Chronicle up for 1 year, and then I had the Ballad of Iron Percy up another year. And I had narrated and produced both of those.
Oh, those were the heady days.
Ah, yes. The Wild West days of serialized podcasting.
Yeah, now it's like old hat. All these fuckers think they invented it. It's ridiculous. We invented it.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. Scott Sigler is God. Get out of here.
Folks, you heard it first. Right here. We have it on record. There we go.
Don't pump up his ego anymore. Come on.
Oh, well, the Lions lost. He's probably a little disappointed.
Probably just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a tiny bit.
So yeah, that's where I stand on that. And
Sandra asks,
have
have you considered running your own awards thing and giving yourself the award? Worked well for the guy that hosted the 420 Movie Awards, the man who made the hit sensation Cool Cat Saves the Kids.
I can't even. I just can't.
I would never create my own award that I could win. That is the dumbest thing, and yet that's just criminally crooked. Criminally crooked. I don't know.
Now, see, if you're going to go that route, you should go ahead and not only create the award, create the competitors for you in the award and make them look clownish so that when you romp on them, then you look even better than you did before.
This is evil. I like it. I'm in full support of you doing this, Terry. I think you should go out there right now and make this shit happen. In fact, you know what? During After Dark, we will sit there and we will brainstorm Terry's awards. You know, we will do that.
So.
The Julius Face-Sitting Award.
Xander says, am I the only one who knows of Daddy Derek? Never heard of Daddy Derek.
For reasons of self-preservation, I'm not reading that back.
You're not reading that back?
Nope, already did that book, thanks.
I put a video to give context to the stuff for those who wish to know if the interesting thing that it is this mess. Oh, dear God.
Well,
okay,
then.
just looking at it is scary. That reminds me, there's things I need to include in our outro.
We got to include more stuff in the outro? What?
I know. What the hell am
Are
I
you
doing?
mixing things up again?
Well, it's because I've been so slack at my job and things have changed, and now I'm trying to push the website and everything else, and I keep forgetting to push the Discord. So it's kind
Nobody
of a
wants to come
problem.
to Discord.
That's not true. People show up and they argue about AIs and all sorts of other things that they didn't create a thread for because they can't create a threads, and that's my problem and my fault. But that notwithstanding, if you have a question or comment about this episode or any episode really, you can go to deadrobotsociety.com, punch that contact button, and send us an email. You can also find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRSpodcast, where we are live every Saturday at 3 p.m. CST. That's the lie we tell. Subscribe, like and subscribe so you know when we're live. And if you look in the show notes, you can find our Discord. We have a burgeoning community. We'll answer questions, and occasionally we'll actually go in there and troll the topics channel and look for things that we might want to do a show on. Hell, we even have a brainstorming channel. Strange things are afoot there. And if you want to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/drspodcast and buymeacoffee.com/drspodcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive live shows like the one that is coming up in just about 10 minutes. And at the $10 level, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are Juan Valentin, James Terrell, Antoine Batts, Tony L. Joy, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Isabel Cushy, and Tim Niederreiter. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible. And with that, we are going to get out of here until next week. So thank you very much for joining us and interacting and all that good stuff. And be safe, be warm, behave yourselves, but not too much.
And go right.
Go right.
Mm-hmm.
Go right. It will be good for you.